What is up? Today we are talking about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams more specifically. Ultimately, we're going to dive right in right now because the Chicago Bears fired Matt Eberflus at the end of last year, which was the right thing to do. They had been struggling with him. And frankly, I would have told you they should have fired him the year before and drafted Caleb Williams as they did, but drafted him with a brand new quarterback coach already coming into the league and just being able to start his rookie year and his NFL career with a brand new head coach. But whatever, they hung on to Matt Eberflus. Last year didn't go great. They fired him. They hired Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. And so far, it's been 3 Chicago Bears training camp practices, and reports are coming out that Caleb Williams is really struggling. He's been throwing picks. In practice today, he had 5 reps on 7-on-7s. 2 of them, back-to-back, were interceptions. So, first and foremost, let me just put this out there. I don't care about these practices in the sense of that I'm going to overreact and think that Caleb Williams is a bust. I think Caleb Williams is a talent. I think I would have definitely picked him number 1 in the draft last year, so I don't blame the Bears at all for doing that. But I think everyone's already starting to point the finger and creeping to saying that Caleb Williams is a bust. And the bigger issue I take with what the Bears have done is, to be quite honest, and this might not be a popular take, is I would not have hired Ben Johnson. I don't know if he's going to be a good coach or a bad coach. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not really making an opinion on what he is as a coach at all because nobody knows. Even the experts don't know. He has never been a head coach in the NFL. And I thought this in the summer. I would have hired Mike McCarthy. And Bears fans won't like that because they'll say, well, Mike McCarthy had maxed out every time he was with Dallas. They would make the playoffs and they would flame out. Or whatever, when he was with Green Bay, he did win a Super Bowl with the Packers. But Bears fans, I feel like, wanted the splashy new toy, which was Ben Johnson, because he's so creative offensively and the Detroit Lions offense has looked incredible for the past few years. And they're saying, let's put him with Caleb Williams and make Caleb Williams just create highlights all day long. But in my opinion, that's not – the Bears haven't had a 4,000-yard passer in their history. So the last thing after so many years of essentially striking out at quarterback, really since probably Jay Cutler, I want stability. Can we just have that instead of, reaching, for the craziest potential and not getting there? Can we just assure ourselves, let's just maybe make the playoffs for a couple years? Is that okay? Like, Bears fans get excited thinking we're going to have some Super Bowl aspirations here by getting this flashy new head coach to pair up with Caleb Williams. And y'all haven't even made the playoffs recently. So I take issue with that. I think it's way too early anyways in training camp to criticize Ben Johnson or to criticize Caleb Williams. It's 3 practices. It's training camp. As the great, because I'm a Vikings fan, Aaron Rodgers once said, relax. And yes, ultimately for Bears people, it is relax. Caleb Williams is in the 2nd year. He's a young quarterback. He has a lot of room ahead of him to figure this out. But this is the 2nd straight year of his only 2 NFL seasons where he's got to learn a new offense, have obviously a new play caller, and it's all new. Like, that's just a lot to put on him. And now we're already pointing fingers saying like, oh, he's throwing back-to-back interceptions. It's like, well, yeah, maybe stability would have been nice. And maybe that wouldn't have led to a Super Bowl. Maybe that wouldn't have ended up being a Super Bowl until Caleb Williams year 8. But that's way better than ruining Caleb Williams in year 2 or 3. And again, sometimes it's like this instant gratification culture, at least in my opinion, that it's like gambling. It's like when you're trying to make all the money in one, like, it doesn't work like that. And in sports, it doesn't work like that. That's why people are always like one play at a time, like one possession at a time in basketball. Like, there's like steps to this. And I just didn't think the Bears were in the position to be the team that takes that wild card head coach hire. Like, what had Matt Eberflus done before he was hired as the head coach of the Bears to be thought of as a successful NFL head coach? Like, he had been a coordinator. And the same thing here with Ben Johnson. I thought Mike McCarthy was perfectly sitting right there for them. Yes, is he gonna maybe get you to the Super Bowl? Maybe not. Like, he has done it before though, but let's just maybe not. Maybe, he's just gonna max out by getting you guys at 10-7 or 11-6 and a playoff berth. We'll start with that. Give Caleb Williams 2-3 seasons of a playoff berth, of development, of consistency, of getting acclimated to an offense and the NFL and how everything's faster, and then make a coaching change after that. And at that point, the foundation, at least within the players, you could say, is built where now maybe you can take a chance on a wild card head coach. And again, I'm not saying that Ben Johnson is a bad head coach, but I am saying he is a first-time NFL head coach, and he is dealing with essentially a first-time NFL quarterback, considering how Caleb played last year. So that's my biggest issue, and that's why I think the Bears keep finding themselves in this situation time and time and time again. Like baby steps. Like it doesn't happen like that. The Detroit Lions, it doesn't happen like that. Like it takes years of, making the playoffs and being 500. And even they're not a great example, to be honest, because they hired Dan Campbell, who also was unknown. And at least you could say Jared Goff at that point maybe wasn't considered a top quarterback, but he had already made a Super Bowl. So he already had some experience. He already had been essentially playing under Sean McVay in LA. So you got to let these guys get their feet wet. And that's why, again, like putting it out there, I am a Vikings fan, but that's why I think they're doing it right with JJ McCarthy. You line him up with the head coach. Last year, I think is a blessing in disguise that he obviously blessing in disguise because the Vikings also had a great record. Had they been a catastrophe, maybe I wouldn't have felt that way. But I'm saying a blessing in disguise that he got to sit, he got to learn, and you were able to evaluate the team, to prepare it for when he comes in as your starter, which is what he is now. And he might be a bust too. I don't know that. But I do think he's put in a way better situation to be successful because you're allowing him to get his feet wet. Patrick Mahomes came in. You allowed him to sit for a year, get his feet wet, understand the league, understand how things move and how you have to move as a quarterback in the NFL, leadership, all that. And I just think the Bears did Caleb Williams, as they have done in the past, did him a disservice by putting him with a brand new head coach in Ben Johnson that also hasn't done this dance before either as a head coach. So we'll see how it works out. I'm not saying, again, it's only 3 practices. I'm not saying it's going to be a catastrophe and they're going to have a terrible season, but I'm just saying this turbulence in the beginning should be expected. What do you expect to happen? I'm sorry. Like, did you think that Ben Johnson was just going to show up and there's so many things he still needs to learn about what to do as a head coach. So, yeah, it's going to take some time. And I don't understand the overreaction of people acting like it's a lost cause and blaming Caleb Williams. Like, if anything, blame yourselves for getting so excited when they hired Ben Johnson. You should have thought of this when Ben Johnson was hired as a head coach and been like, he might be good, but he might not. He's never done this before, and we have a quarterback who was very much up and down, mostly down in his rookie year. He barely threw the ball deep, and now this year, obviously, and he set an expectation, 70% completion percentage. He said he wants 4,000 yards passing. Maybe. How about let's just set the goals to learn the offense to, the simple things without numbers on it, because that is, from most of the experts, they always say with young quarterbacks, the most important thing that you look for in camp is can they run the offense. And apparently in the first practice of training camp, Ben Johnson overreacted and pretty much benched the whole first unit because they couldn't get plays going. Well, maybe this is part of his learning curve to learn how to gradually give his team the playbook. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but I'm just saying, seems like common sense to me.